Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be doing a basic anatomy breakdown for female characters if you want to draw them in comics or manga or illustrations or whatnot. Just a disclaimer, I'm not the best at anatomy, I'm just kind of sharing the information I know, but I'm not an anatomy expert or anything like that, so I recommend not just watching my video to know how to break down characters. I recommend checking out other people's videos as well to help out with that. So yeah, let's just get started. So the first thing I'm gonna do is draw a thumbnail sketch, which is basically a really small quick sketch to just kind of plan out the pose. Instead of just drawing it straight out, it's much easier if you do a quick sketch first, so you kind of have an idea of how you want the pose to look like, so you don't have to go and do all this detail and stuff and then decide you don't like the pose later and go back and change everything, because that's kind of a waste of time. So the first thing you want to do is just kind of do this quick sketch, and I usually do this before I draw any illustration just to make it easier, I guess. And I'm gonna base my finished sketch on that, so yeah. After that, I'm just gonna first draw the head, which is a circle, which I taught in the last tutorial as well. And I'm gonna put an X through it, or a cross through it, which is gonna indicate the face, and I draw the chin. And I'm just kind of doing this part quickly since I already went over this in another video. So yeah. And after, I'm going to just draw the neck, which is, like I said in my other video, just like a tube shape, and I round it off at the bottom. So yeah, pretty simple. So now I'm gonna get into actually drawing the body here. So the first thing I do is I draw in what would be the rib cage. So this would be about a head and a half tall, and you don't want to make it too big either. I know a lot of people kind of do a circular shape instead to kind of indicate the upper body, but I feel like if you do a rib cage, it makes it easier to kind of picture the structure of the body, I feel like, instead of creating this oval that you don't really know what it is. I feel like doing a rib cage feels more accurate, or a rib cage shape. So it kind of is smaller on the bottom, then tapers out, and then you can put a circle on the bottom to indicate the bottom of it. And then after that, I just kind of put a line through to show the middle, and I'm gonna put another oval on the bottom to show where the hip area is. And this is very rough at first, because I can change stuff and adjust stuff if I need to. And yeah, and of course you're gonna make the hip a little bit bigger if you're drawing a woman as well. Also, I drew the hip to the side a little bit because it helps to make the pose a little bit more dynamic than just drawing straight through, because usually someone's not gonna stand really stiff straight up. There's gonna be a little bit of difference to it, even if it's just a person standing. So the next part I'm doing is that I'm sketching in the shoulders real quickly. Don't think of this as a straight line going across. From the neck, the shoulders actually kind of create a triangular shape, so it kind of goes slopes down and out. So think of kind of a cape or cloak or something, the top of that, and then it goes over the rib cage area I sketched in here just a little bit. So that's going to indicate the shoulders basically. And I draw in the collarbones here too, which just kind of go inward and then in a little bit more. I'll show more detail of that later as well. And then I'm just putting two small circles at the end of the shoulders to kind of plot out the shoulders. And then after that, I also just do straight lines to just quickly plot out where the arms are going to be, or the arm positions. The middle of the arm kind of lines up with about the middle of the body, kind of where the waist is. So actually here I lined it up with the bottom of the rib cage, but it's actually a little bit lower. I'm gonna fix that later. So yeah, if you want to know how to measure how long the arm should be, that's where it is. And then the next part of the arm, which is where the hand meets the wrist, it lines up with about the pelvic area, so the bottom of the hip basically, which is shown here in the guideline. So yeah, then that creates a basic mapping which you can work off of when you do more detail. And then I'm just adding circles for the shoulders, because the top of the shoulders are actually more there's a little bit of a bump, so it's more of a circular shape. You don't just draw the arms going straight down, it looks kind of weird. There's always going to be kind of a little bit of a circular bump on the top. It makes it look a lot more natural and makes it look more anatomically correct. And then I'm just drawing out from that part and, like I said, like creating like a little curve shape, which is pretty subtle, and then like kind of a tube shape, which is like very slightly like curving. It's not like a completely straight line, but it's like very, very subtle, I guess. And then I draw the second part of the arm. The elbow, of course, just kind of creates like an angle. Yeah, now I'm just drawing in the rest of the arm here. And again, creating like a tube-like shape. And of course, when you draw near the elbow, it like goes out a little bit and then comes back in where it's gonna meet the hands. And I'm just plotting out the hands really quickly here. So I'm just creating like two kind of not rectangular, like kind of square-ish shapes, because the hand palm is about like the shape of a square. I can do more like detail on how to draw hands later, but this is just like an overall anatomy or like body tutorial, so I'm not going to do that right now. It's going to be a little bit quick for that part. So the next part here is just drawing in the waist, which you're basically just connecting the rib cage to the hips. So it's gonna go in, as you can see here, and then just kind of like go out to create the shape of the hips. So yeah, it's just like connecting these two parts basically. And you also want to connect it in a way that gives the body like a certain kind of flow, so you don't want to just like create a straight line with nothing that's happening. You want to like make it go in, and like you can see a little bit that it's going in here, and then I draw the hip over it. I don't know if that makes sense, but like have the body parts show that they're connecting basically, as you can see on the waistline there. The next part, I'm just drawing the bottom of the pelvis quickly, so that's just like a V shape. And then I'm drawing kind of these curve shapes to show where the legs are gonna start, and it's kind of like an underwear kind of shape. So yeah, just think of that. And then I'm creating these sections of the hips. As you can see, I put two circles to show where like there's a part of the hip where it kind of like sticks out a bit, and that helps to make it look more natural if you have that. So I put the two things there, and then I just have lines connecting it to kind of show like how the form looks like. And yeah, so as you can see, it kind of goes down, but then also like bumps out again to create that shape of the hip. And then next I'm drawing the shape of the stomach. For this pose, it's not really that helpful to have this, but if you're drawing like other poses, especially from the side or something, like knowing how to draw the stomach is really helpful. And it's just basically kind of like this diamond shape, you would say, that goes from like the bottom of the pelvis up to around where the chest is, or like the breast would be. And yeah, that's just used to indicate like the stomach muscles or the stomach area, pretty much. And next I'm drawing the breasts, which are basically just two circles, obviously. But then you don't want to stop there. If you make it look too circular, it looks kind of like artificial and strange, kind of like she has fake boobs or something. So you have to like make it taper up and kind of come up near the shoulders. So it's gonna like kind of curve in and then go up like that on both sides. And I'm erasing a bit to kind of show you more how that's gonna look like. And I draw a little bit of her cleavage too, and I put a line through just to kind of show the shape, how it's going out. And yeah, as you can see here, I draw these lines to make it kind of go up, because it's not like just floating in air. Like there's some gravity to it because there's weight to it. So think about the weight while you're drawing that. Okay, now you see I have most of the torso done pretty much. At least rough sketch. So now I'm just gonna go in and quickly draw the hands. Like I said, I'm not gonna do too much explaining about that because I can do another tutorial like focusing on hands completely in the future. But it's just basically like the thumb goes out from the one side, and then the other fingers kind of taper out into like kind of a triangle shape. And you can just, for this pose, kind of copy like this kind of hand pose, which I think is pretty helpful to know, because I use this one a lot. And I'm drawing in the joints near, or like the bumps near the hand as well, but again, we can talk about that later. And I'm drawing in the hand on the hip too, which is a little bit foreshortened, so it might be kind of tricky to draw. And it's kind of small, so I'm not doing like that much detail on it or not fixing it up too much. Just something kind of simple. I mostly wanted to do this to show like the shape of the arms, kind of. Alright, so the next part after that is going to be drawing in the legs. And the legs create kind of like an interesting shape, which I think is really necessary to get down so like you can draw them properly. They kind of, and I'm drawing it here to show you kind of the flow of the shape. It kind of goes in and then curves back in near the knee and then goes out again. And this is for any type of body or any character. Like the legs will always have this kind of shape. So I think it's really important to get down, and mostly this is because of the muscles of the leg. They kind of are shaped in this way in real life. So if you're able to get this, the legs you draw are gonna look really good. I draw 2 circles from the top of the hip, and I'm just kind of creating a guide like I did with the arms. So it's gonna, for her, kind of have her knees going in, so it's gonna go in then out, and one leg's gonna be sticking out a bit more. And you can see the hip is a little bit down on the right side. So because of that, the knee is going to be a little bit lower as well. So it's important to keep that kind of stuff in mind and make sure that you're proportioning or like measuring it out in the right way. And now I just go out and I come in near the knee to draw the thigh pretty much. And I do the same thing on the other side, but see how it's more straight on the other side because the outside of the leg is creating more of the swooping shape that goes inside. And I do 2 circles to indicate where the knees are going to be, or the kneecaps. And I create kind of a circular bump again to like continue that flow, so it's going out and then in around the knees, and I create that bump, and then it's going out again near the calves or the bottom of the leg. So yeah. And then it's just going on the inside of the leg, it goes inward. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the other leg. So yeah, just make sure to be really conscious of those shapes because it'll help you a lot for whatever characters you're drawing. And as you can see, I drew the arrows here again to show you the shape. And yeah, here are some more clear arrows like showing the shape of the legs. So you can see it more clearly, pretty much. I didn't know that for a long time. I just learned that in art school and it was really helpful to me when it came to drawing anatomy. And the next part I'm gonna do is just go in and draw the feet, which is just kind of a wedge shape basically. Like, think of kind of like the triangular door stoppers if you ever seen them. It's just basically, or like a slice of cheese or something, like it's just a wedge shape like that. So yeah, the biggest part is on the top near the ankle, and then it just kind of goes down until it reaches the toes, and the toes are kind of like its own section too. Its own kind of like rectangular section, so you can just like block out the full section first, and then after that you can detail everything. And I did 2 circles on each side to kind of show where the bone sticks out pretty much, where the ankle meets the foot. So yeah, it's gonna look something like that. And now I'm just drawing in the toes. Since the foot's laying flat on the ground, the toes just are kind of like circles because it's in perspective. And I'm just showing my drawing process here more, which includes just doing more detail, drawing some of the nails, and then I go on to draw the other foot, which is a little bit turned on the side. The heel kind of creates this rounded like angle and then goes in and then creates the other sole of the foot before it meets the toes. So yeah, the 2 angles are a little bit different, so hopefully like seeing those 2 can help a bit. I know that the feet are a little bit hard to draw, but if you practice it, you can definitely get used to it. And also most of the time you're drawing shoes for your character, so you don't always need to be able to get like all the details 100% correct if you're drawing the feet. So yeah, just make sure you have like the basic shapes down so you'll be able to draw it properly if you need to. Alright, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to now just erase and add more details. So I'm going to speed up this part. And I'll see you guys after that. And there we go, that's the finished product. I didn't want her to be completely naked, so I drew some underwear on her. And as you can see, I also drew a finished face on her. If you want to know how to draw the face and the hair, I also did a tutorial on that, so I'll leave the links for those in the description below. And as you can see, I did some more detail within her body. I think when you're drawing bodies, it's important not to just draw the outline of the body, but also draw some of like the little details on the inside so that you can see how it's structured, which includes like a line for the rib cage, lines for the stomach, lines for the knee, the collarbone, etc, etc. And yeah, that's it. I guess in conclusion, like, always think of the shapes of the body and try to break it down instead of just drawing it straight out. Hopefully the way I break it down is helpful to you. It took me a really long time to kind of figure out how to break down the body properly, but this is the method that works for me, so hopefully it can work for you too. If it doesn't, I recommend researching the way other artists kind of like break down their bodies when they draw characters, because there's always going to be a method that works for everyone, so yeah. Besides just like knowing how to break down the body, you also need to really to be able to draw characters properly, you really need to get a hold on anatomy, and as frustrating as that can be at first, because like it can be really hard to draw anatomy if you're not used to it or to draw it correctly, but it's really, if you want to be a good artist, it's really necessary to know how to be able to draw anatomy properly. So even if you don't like it at first, like, you really need to learn how to do it. The best way to be able to learn is to take figure drawing classes. I went to art school, so we got to do that a lot, but there are also a lot of colleges and schools and like other institutions that offer usually like other figure drawing classes, and those can sometimes be free if you're lucky, but also most of the time it has like a small fee. But yeah, if you're interested in that, I recommend like doing some research on that. But as another free method, if you can't make it to like figure drawing classes and want to just like practice daily, is this website called Line of Action. You can get photographs to practice figure drawing, hands and feet, facial expressions, and also even animals. And this has like a lot of photographs that you can practice from. And you can practice from nude models or clothed models, and you can choose a gender if you want to like practice a certain drawing certain types of bodies, and you can also choose the time intervals. So that's the most helpful part. It can be really helpful to do like 1-minute gesture drawings every day, and I'm gonna pull up and show some of my gesture drawings that I do before I start sketching. So I try to do this every time before I start sketching something, whether I'm like drawing comic pages or an illustration or something. I always do these gesture drawing first. And each figure is, like I said, 1 minute, so it's like really quick, but it's good because it helps you not to get stuck on like one certain part of the body that you like can't get right, and you start to feel frustrated and it's not really going anywhere. This helps you to like really think of the body as a whole, kind of start to understand like how the body flows and is structured and whatnot. So it's much more helpful to do these gesture drawings, and I recommend, if you're not used to drawing anatomy or figures yet, to try to do this for like maybe 10 minutes every day, just like 1-minute gesture drawings, and see how much it improves. It may take a while, but I promise you, if you keep doing this practice, you're going to notice a lot of improvement in your art. So I can't recommend it enough. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Line of Action or anything. I'm just using their website as an example because I actually use it a lot, and I think it's a very helpful tool. So yeah, just thought I would put that out there. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. I want to do another tutorial on like more different body types, because like, even though like I was explaining the structure and stuff and just kind of like doing something simple, like obviously I drew like a skinny body type. I want to do more different ones, like a little bit bigger body types, or like different kinds of shapes. So I want to do that more in the future, because like I didn't really want to push it into this video. I wanted to kind of just show like the basic structure in this video, and then like spend more time on doing like different kinds of body types afterwards. So hopefully you guys can enjoy that when that comes out. And yeah, I just hope that this was helpful to you. If you have any more like tutorials that you want me to make, feel free to let me know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. Bye!